where the cars have travelled to. But first, before we get into that very high-speed circuit, I thought it was a chance to take a look back at some of the massive problems being suffered by the Alpine team. Now, taking a look at the front of the car, Alpine were actually the only team to introduce a proper upgrade for the first race of the season. Every other team just ran their cars as they'd run those parts in testing. But you could see just a very minor upgrade on the front wing of the Alpine. You can see it just there. A little wicker bill or gurney flap along the top edge of the upper element of the wing. But we're not really here to talk about that because it didn't make the biggest difference to Alpine. The Alpine car started the season and continues so with almost no paintwork on it at all. It's almost all bare carbon fibre, as you can see here, with a few stickers added onto it. And that is an absolute telltale sign of a massive problem for Alpine. The car is clearly just a bit too heavy. We did hear some rumours of it being 10 or 11 kilos too heavy. Pierre Gasly said it wasn't as bad as that. And just to take a look at how bad the problem truly is, we caught up with technical director Matt Harmon in the garages in Sakhir.
We're not quite where we want to be on weight limit at the minute, but we're quite close, and at the moment we're tirelessly working on that as part of our update program. You know, it's important that we understand that we need to be very much under the weight limit, but we need to be near it. We also need to make sure that we spend weight into our performance upgrades because they often come at a weight disadvantage.
Well, as you can see, there is clearly a weight problem with the Alpine, but another thing that everybody comments when looking at this part of the Alpine is the sheer width of the nose. It's a big, wide nose that goes all the way to the leading edge of the front wing. And to explore why Alpine have taken this approach when some teams have taken a very, very different approach, we go back down to the garages in Sakhir.
It's fundamentally the basic aerodynamics and how we present that airflow to the front of the car. And it all depends on what you're trying to achieve with that particular concept. As you'll see, up and down the grid, there's various different types of front wing configuration there. We've gone for a very thin, wide nose, and that allows us to maximise the air underneath the nose and how we present that air around the keel and then into the floor and into the bodywork.
Really fascinating stuff there from Matt Harmon, and we can take a look to see what he was talking about from this angle of the Alpine nose. Again, this shot from Bahrain. You can see that the cross-section of the nose is pretty narrow actually here, so the space between here and here, that's quite thin, and that's what Alpine are trying to do, generate the airflow under the tip of the nose. But for all the aerodynamic detailing on the Alpine, the problem they have is the car isn't just heavy, it's really, really slow. During the Bahrain Grand Prix, Pierre Gasly's Alpine was actually slower than Pierre Gasly's Alpine was in 2023, and that is a big problem for the team because everybody else in the field, with 12 months of technical development and a stable rule set, has moved forward. So a question that comes up, obviously, is why couldn't Alpine just revert to last year's car, the A523, and keep racing that until the A524 becomes a bit more mature and the team get it working the way they want it to? Well, this is the problem, the roll hoop. The technical regulations around the roll hoops of the car have changed significantly for this year. They have to be a lot stronger. And in order to get a roll hoop to pass those technical regulations, it's not just a case of grafting on a 2024 roll hoop onto a 2023 chassis. There's all sorts of structures that sit underneath the roll hoop to take the loads that you're going to see coming through to get through that crash test. So that squeeze test and push off test and all the other stuff they do to get the cars and make them safe at the beginning of the season. So Alpine are just going to have to work through this, but Matt Harmon is not going to be part of the technical team doing that. The Alpine team has lost some key players. Matt Harmon has gone. He has left the team to be replaced by a three-pillar technical structure, all reporting to the team boss, Bruno Famin. Actually, the team has 4 technical directors responsible for different areas when you count in the power unit team in Renault's factory in Paris as well. So quite a big difference. They've also lost their team advisor, former technical director Bob Bell. He's just joined Aston Martin. So quite a lot going on at the Alpine team. But they're not the only team who had a really big problem in Bahrain. The Williams team also struggled quite significantly. They had some problems with software. In fact, if you're a software engineer, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is a problem with a graphical user interface, or the control system of the car. Have a look on board here with Alex Albon. We're riding through early in the race, and you can see an error comes up on the car's dashboard, car too hot. That's pretty straightforward. The car's warning the driver that he needs to cool it down, and certainly there were components underneath the bodywork that were getting a bit warm. In fact, a lot of Mercedes-powered cars suffered from a few power unit issues. We saw the McLaren of Lando Norris take its second set of batteries and control electronics. The complete allocation for the season therefore used up. We heard 2 Mercedes drivers complaining that their car was overheating, and both Williams drivers also had this error. Problem was, this error on the steering wheel, which is meant to inform the drivers that they need to cool their car down, did start to cause some problems for the drivers, because when the error message was on the screen, you can see here, the drivers then were unable to see the menus that they could scroll through to change settings on the car, like brake balance, things like that. And that became a bit of a problem for both drivers. But Logan Sargent, it's fair to say, had it much worse than his teammate. Keep an eye on the dashboard of the American driver here. He's trying to adjust the brake balance of the car on the run up to turn 4 early in the race. Now, if you watch that screen, Sargent has pressed the button, but something has gone wrong with the control system on the car, and the brake balance forward button has completely jammed, and it's ended up sending the brake balance on the car maximum forwards, and there's nothing the driver can do about it. Sargent's trying to stop the process, the steering wheel isn't responding. You can see the numbers scooting through the roof here, and even when he's gone off the track and stopped the car, realising that the brake balance has all gone crazy, he's not sure what to do. He's being talked to by the team. He's tried to adjust the brake balance again. The steering wheel wouldn't respond. All it would do was push the brake balance to as much forwards and tell him the car had got too hot. Well, he already knew those things, but he wanted to change it back. He couldn't. And the only way the team could fix this was to come into the pit lane and change steering wheel. And this is something that essentially solved the problem. Didn't cool the car down any, it would make the car a bit hotter actually, but at least he could then control the brake balance as much as he could with that error message coming up. And that was something we didn't really get to see in the Grand Prix, but that's why Logan Sargent made that early and long pit stop, and it sort of explains the problems the team has had. Now, problems on the dashboard, perhaps in the steering wheel, are not something that would come as a great surprise to people who follow the Williams team closely, because if you cast your mind back a full year, or not even a full year, and take a look at the dashboard of last year's Williams, this is Alex Albon, the last race of the year. Have a look at the dashboard here. You can see it's mounted to the chassis rather than the steering wheel. Something Williams had done for many years. They thought it was a better solution, not everybody else agreed, and clearly Williams have changed their mind on it. So when the drivers are going around the track, the dashboard stays fixed as the wheel is turned. Does it make a big difference? Probably not. But I do wonder, in moving the dash from the chassis to the steering wheel, has it made a little bit of a connection issue or a little bit of a reconfiguration issue for the Williams team, and they now need to work through some of those error messages and some of that usability of the graphical interface on their steering wheel. They seem to understand the problem, and they've got some great engineers at Grove in England who will be working on that very hard at the moment. Hopefully they'll have it fixed ahead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now, speaking of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, let's take a look at Formula One's fastest street circuit. Well, the first thing is that claim. Is this truly Formula One's fastest street circuit? When I saw the original track layout of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, I was pretty sure that title would go and Saudi Arabia wouldn't be able to use it anymore. On paper, Las Vegas should be a much, much faster circuit. But in reality, Saudi Arabia is about 10 kph quicker on average speed. Saudi Arabia is also quicker because it has a lot of sequence of medium and high speed corners, but also the conditions are better. The surface is better on the Jeddah Corniche circuit, much better actually, purpose built rather than the Las Vegas Strip, which isn't, and it's got traffic and traffic jams on it all of the time. Jeddah Corniche isn't used nearly as much as the Las Vegas Strip, but it's also a lot warmer in Saudi Arabia than it is in Las Vegas in December, and that makes a big difference too. But the temperature of the cars is something the teams need to keep under control, because as the cars are faster and have a higher average speed, there's more air going through the car. Just like is the case in Monza and Spa, they can close up the car slightly and reduce drag if the stuff underneath the bodywork can take it. And the first example I want to show you of this is Red Bull. Red Bull have made a pretty dramatic change to the car and closed up some of the smaller ducts on the rear bodywork. Yep, we're talking about more ducts on the back of Red Bull because that seems to be all we do this season. Now, these ducts here are, in theory, suspension apertures, but every team uses them to cool the car slightly as well. And this upper wishbone mounting one in particular, underneath the N of the Honda logo, has been reduced massively since last week. Last week it had a much bigger bulge here to let out more air at high speed, and that is because of the high average speed of Saudi Arabia. You don't need such a big duct, Red Bull can close it up, the Honda power unit can take it, and they can reduce the overall drag of the car. These tiny little changes do make a big difference to overall car performance. Well, taking another look at those darts at the back of the Red Bull, you can see here quite clearly that there's just a vein in the middle of the lower dart. There's different sections of heat get evacuated by this little darts here. Exactly what they're letting out. I'm not quite sure, they won't tell us because that's just looking at the bodywork of the car, so we do try. But there's all sorts of other little details up and down the pit lane. Now, high-speed circuit means you probably expect to reduce drag in some areas. Well, let's take a look at the Mercedes rear wing configuration for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, because it's a great example of the low downforce, low drag wings the teams are using here. And you can see they've got a big old gurney on the upper edge of the wing, but look at this big dip above the O of the frame logo. That's something new for Mercedes, and something they're using a little bit differently. But if we take a slightly different look at the rear wing from another angle, you can see Mercedes are still opting to join the upper and lower tips of those wing elements. Not every team is doing this anymore. We'll take a few more looks at some other wings further down the pit lane in a moment. But something I did want to draw your attention to is what Mercedes used to look like with their wing. You notice that big dip? Well, this is their rear wing in Bahrain, and as you can see, in the centre of the wing, high downforce rear wing, no big cutout in the middle. That's something to trend up and down the pit lane, and you can see that when we start looking at some of the other cars. I want to take a look here though before we do that. A little bit of Mercedes where they invited us into the garage to look at one of their updates on the car. And I was quite amazed that we were able to do this. But have a look, this is the rear end of the Mercedes from a very low angle in the back of the garage. And we've seen something similar from Mercedes on previous cars, but this step section of the lower, what they call brake duct winglets, and you can see the underside of some of that cascade of those little winglets on the rear. Don't normally get to see it from this angle. Thought I'd just show it to you. Mercedes have been playing around with that. Really interesting piece of design. But moving on, one of the things that a lot of teams are playing with are the lower beam wings, and this is the section I'm talking about here. This is the back end of the Ferrari. They flattened them out slightly, changed the design ever so slightly for this race. You see this upper element and then the lower element here. Twin element, pretty standard design for Formula 1 in 2024. That's not all that different to Alpine's layout from last year, if my memory serves me correctly. But if we get down to McLaren, we can get a really good look at what they're doing. They've completely deleted the upper element of that twin beam wing section. You're allowed two elements. McLaren, though, only opting for one as they try to reduce drag at the rear end of their car. They've also closed up the rear bodywork here, much tighter than it was in Bahrain. Oddly, the exhaust doesn't seem to be sitting quite centrally in the rear bodywork exit. I'm not quite sure what that's about.
Yo, what's up, bud?
Finish issue. Let's take a look at the rear wing they're running. Very different to what they had in Bahrain. And again, you can see one
What's
of
up, bro?
these V-shapes in the middle. Big old gurney along the top.
Qualifying finished. It's time to remind
It's
ourselves.
boring
This
outside.
image, but
Russell,
the dimple
Norris
doesn't just stay on
and
the top.
Lewis
There's
Hamilton.
actually depression in the whole upper section of the rear wing, which gives you a really
Alright.
good oversight
Alright,
of the impact of the DRS housing and swan neck rear wing support. So they're trying to manage that flow around the rear wing. So that's quite an important thing to take a note of. Down at Williams, cooling is a factor there. Now this is an unusual view you don't normally get to see. Normally when I talk to you about front brake ducts, you'll see the front of the air scoop, but this is actually the back of the front brake duct. This is the outlet, so where the hot air comes out of the back of the car. This is something Williams has been experimenting with this weekend. They've modified that. They're not the only team on the grid to have done that. They have been playing around quite a lot. They've modified the inlet as well, and look how small this air inlet is on the Williams. It's literally a sliver where all of that hot air comes in to cool those brakes down. With the high speeds of Saudi Arabia, high average speed, more air through that small aperture, but lots of space on the back. And I suspect that Williams are doing some quite clever stuff with the airflow out of this section here, because that's just a really nice piece of engineering. And I'd love to see the CFD modelling of what goes on inside that wheel. The team will never show it to me. I will ask, but I know the answer already. Moving down the pit lane though, one of the teams that really fascinates me is the Honda-powered RB. And I was going to talk you through all of the different details of that car, but actually Mike Seymour was down in the pit lane and he got Alan Permain to tell us all about it. So let's let them take it.
On a fini dans les points la dernière
The main
course. Il
changes
faut
for this
continuer
race
sur notre lancée.
compared to last weekend in Bahrain, of course, is downforce level. This is a much faster drag, much higher speeds, and for that we need to run the car with a lower drag level. Force comes from a lower downforce level. The changes at the front are pretty straightforward. You can a trim to the front wing flap, and also balanced with a smaller rear wing, gives it great aero balance. Everything around the sort of front wheel area is the same as last weekend. We have a very subtle change here with a new side pod. It's designed to be a little bit slippery, it's also designed to give an improvement in cooling, which is very important. And you see here, this is a cooling exit. This is fully closed in Bahrain, it's much cooler there. For this first session here on Friday, this is open. Thursday. We're very much hoping that for the evening sessions and for qualifying on the race, this will be closed. And having this closed gives a reduction in drag, gives an increase in downforce, so the car is quicker for that. And then the final thing for here is the rear wing assembly. The top rear wing and the beam room you see are completely different compared to what we had in Bahrain. They're smaller, effectively, just to give us more straight line speed, which is of course a lifetime benefit here.
Well, what a brilliant summing up of all of the upgrades on RB, and hopefully as the season goes on, we're going to have a few more tours around the cars with team technical personnel as the season goes on. But something we haven't had a tour of yet is the new rear wing on the Aston Martin. Aston Martin being doing interesting stuff in their car, and there's a lot more to come from this green-painted Mercedes-powered car. And they moved into a big wicker, as we saw, a big V section in the middle, but the wing drops down quite aggressively above the A of the Aramco logo. And that's quite a big difference for the Aston Martin. And look how it differs to the leading edge and how the lower element, how that falls down before joining up to the upper element. Really quite an interesting little bit of design solution. But Aston Martin playing around with the wings at the back of the car, well, that's grabbed my eye as well. But let's take a look at this. This is something they started experimenting with last year. And if you don't know what I'm really talking about in this one, have a look here at the back of the rear impact structure. You can see, well, you can't see it yet, I'll point it out here, two little winglets. Last year they experimented with a single winglet in this area. This is something they've done before. They are clearly pursuing. Here's a slightly clearer version shot by one of my men at the track. And you can see the two-element rear winglets on the lower beam. Now, nobody else has done this, and one of the reasons I think perhaps they haven't done this is during the pit stops, the rear jackman has to come in and jack the back of the car up on this section of the car. With these little winglets on, it could be really awkward to get the rear jack in and not damage these sections, which are clearly having some sort of aerodynamic effect at the very tail of the car. I do wonder if this is opening up a new avenue for other teams to explore, but it certainly isn't, because it's already for Aston Martin. That's new for this year. But the risk of pit stop delays, it's a big trade-off. So for Aston Martin, it would be interesting to see what they do, because technical developments can bring unintended consequences, and Aston Martin found that out earlier today when the new brake cooling system didn't work as the team had expected. Both new inlet and of course new outlets for the car. But both of their drivers were in the pits for a little while. Fernando Alonso certainly having, perhaps it had ingested some plastic bags blowing around on the circuit in the high wind in the pre-practice one, or perhaps it was just not performing as the team expected. We saw Charles Leclerc last week having some brake duct issues causing his car to pull left when the driver braked. So there's a few issues that maybe engineers always work out. Stuff like that is what makes Formula One engineering just so fascinating. There's so much more to go through in all of these cars that we're out of time for this week. Join us again.
Le DRS va être autorisé dans ce tour. Tu peux l'utiliser si tu as moins d'une seconde d'écart avec la monoplace de devant dans la zone de DRS.
Ready for this? Apparently this game is more difficult than being able. Not always not making Great, this is gonna be insanely difficult! a minute, this is easy. Oh, this game is easy. We said it was difficult.
Nope.
Never mind. Wait, I'm him! Chad, am I him? Be honest. Do I have to swing again? Oh! Wait, I am actually locked in! My hand hurts. Wait, my hand hurts already. Chad, where do I go? Chad, do I go up? No, I go down. I go there. I go there.
Nope.
Am I him? They and everybody that just said, of course. Chad, am I doing good or no? Wait, what? I gotta go down right here? Oh, nah, GG. Who just said brace yourself, everyone? What do you mean?
Here we go!
Who just said 3,000 dead in Kansas? What do you mean, great, my dog died? Tidal wave incoming. I see a tsunami coming. Okay, hold on. Chad, is that the hardest part of the game right there? Chad, is that the hardest part of the game? Wait, I'm kind of blowing right now. Atlantis has risen. Yeah, I'm like that. Chad, be honest. Am I Alex Cold? They don't call me Alex Hanold for nothing. Grab that right there. Grab it right there. Grab. Grab. I can tell on the end of the so yeah, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. We have beaten every climbing game that we've ever played. This one is not going to dominate. Only characters. How do you do this, Chad? How are you supposed to swing right there? How?
Nous approchons de la fenêtre d'arrêt au stand. Tu chausseras des
Chad, I'm
tendres.
cooking. Who said the Titanic was closed? Check the prediction. I could do this IRL. I have a lot on the line. All the doubters are about to be proven wrong right now. Watch. So who do you think is the third try, be honest?
La distance qui nous sépare de notre coéquipier est de 4,4 secondes.
There's 96 million on me failing? No way! Chat, where should I swing from? Up here, maybe?
I'm dying.
No! I had to grab my pants by accident. I literally grabbed it! Tried one of your balloons. No more games, we're doing this right now, period. No more games.
Fenêtre d'arrêt au stand ouverte. Fenêtre d'arrêt au stand ouverte.
Grab it! There you go. $125 million is crazy.
Il faut qu'on double. Active le mode dépassement.
I don't think we've ever seen 128 million. That is disrespectful! Have a little bit of faith. I want if you have faith. Is there a no point clause again in this game?
Endo rentre au stand. L'écart avec la voiture qui te précède est de 1,7 secondes.
They don't call me Alex Hanover for nothing. I know you're watching us, Alex. Chat, what do I do right here? How do I vote? You gotta come to the Twitch chat. My Twitch is in my TikTok bio. Go lower and do it? Chad, are you sure? Yeah, I might get maybe tonight. Let's go, Chad. I'm locked in right now.
Drapeau jaune.
Wait, chat, y'all actually have to take it all. This is crazy. Do I not look like a good climber to you?
La piste est dégagée, drapeau vert. Ok, ils viennent de faire entrer la voiture de sécurité. Il faut ralentir et former une file. Ok, attention, on nous a signalé qu'il faisait sortir la voiture de sécurité. Il y a apparemment plusieurs monoplaces arrêtées sur la piste. Vas-y, mets les gaz. Super boulot de ta part et des mécaniciens. C'était splendide. La voiture de
I can do it just like that. I just gotta lock in. I think I'm overthinking it. Chad, am I overthinking it?
Jusqu'ici, on se débrouille bien, mais on va pouvoir reprendre notre souffle. On est à peine à la moitié de la course et il nous reste... Saisir. Je sais, ça a un air de déjà vu, mais on a la possibilité de profiter de ce nouveau départ. Allez.
My future sweat.
Bravo, tu viens de gagner une place.
Okay, so the good news is we made it past that one part. That is a learning process. We have the speed with the one hand right there. The upper body strength on this guy is insane, by the way.
Voici l'écart avec notre coéquipier, 3,4 secondes. La voiture de derrière n'est plus qu'à 1 seconde de toi, 1 seconde.
Is this the same area? Is this the same area? Wait, this is the safe area. I can go in the water
Utilise le
right here.
dépassement, on va consommer une partie de l'énergie récupérée.
We're in the safe area. But I don't think this will last forever. There's no way it will. Where do I go?
Ok, les commissaires viennent d'autoriser le DRS. DRS disponible. Il nous reste 5 tours de carburant.
you absolute nerds are saying pay out is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Literal prediction says, will he fall to the bottom? That's not the bottom! Shut up! I literally saw in the trailer for this game someone being higher than this and still falling. Yeah, just because there's a safe area doesn't mean you get paid out when I land in the safe area. I am literally about to crap in my hand and start laughing. So, are you telling me I go for this first right here? Is that what I do? But there's no way. You're telling me I'm supposed to... Chad, this isn't the... If I fall right here, I think I fall for that. Chad, there's nothing here.
Nous avons près de 4 tours de carburant.
I got so lucky! Dude, if I would have fell an inch that way, I would have went to the bottom. Oh my goodness, no way!
Notre retard avec la voiture qui nous précède est de 3,9 secondes.
Okay, we know which way to go. We know which way to go. The fact that I didn't fall to my death and people are saying no. Chad, do you want me to win or do you want to sit here and farm channel? What is it? You don't even want me to win, you're pointing at the channel points, huh? There we go. There we go, now we're cooking. Yes! Do not fall right here. No! Yes! Come on, man! Ah! Ah!
Sorry, I'm watching the background. My bad. I'll do this 2 seconds too.
Dernier tour, on lâche rien. L'écart avec notre coéquipier est de 4,2 secondes. Il ne reste plus qu'un seul tour de carburant. L'écart avec le pilote de devant est de 7,9 secondes.
Albon finished to the head, he's a beast.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Here comes...
The win is 25, 18.
So let's review the drivers' standings. Cowboy increases their championship lead. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Charles Leclerc showed exactly how to manage yourself out on track today. He was almost flawless out there. Incredible stuff.
Let's move on to the constructors. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend for them as they fight their way towards the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.